Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Click Clack Report. I'm Aaron Weiss. Alongside me is Jeff Tyner. Jeff, how are you today?
Doing super.
I'm super as well. I think we're both super for the same reason. A reason being that we just watched a certain feature film by the name of Draft Day.
By the name of Draft Day.
By the name of Draft Day. Now,
we watched it.
Well, normally this is a Gamecocks-related podcast, but, I think we're coming pretty close. We got a football-related film here. It's as much football as can be, aside from the love story.
One of the most recent football movies, too. You got the new Will Smith one that's coming out.
Yeah.
But,
and you get a lot of, you get your high school, football movies a lot and stuff, but you don't really get any good pro football movies.
I'll say this.
On a regular basis.
Moderately high production value.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they cheap out until some,
except for that, the live
parts.
football. I mean, I guess this isn't a football movie cinematically like others, but, the in-game stuff, that probably irked me the most.
Yeah, because you really don't get.
But other than that, this kind of stuff, the production value is great.
Yeah, so that has that going for it, and pretty much everything else then is a train wreck because this movie has no sense of really anything other than, okay, we have Kevin Costner as the GM of the Cleveland Browns.
Ouch. Ouch. No thanks.
He's going to be a guy trying to get some stuff done for a losing team, and in the end, everybody's going to feel great.
But you know what, Aaron?
What?
This isn't on the gridiron. It's on draft day.
Whoa.
The biggest day of the year.
You're telling me
for a general manager.
It's a football movie that's not set during the football season?
Of course. I'm talking about draft day.
First of its kind.
Wow.
Is
that true? I wonder if that is.
It does. It does. It's a football movie that takes, with the exception of their poorly produced football scenes, takes entirely place not in football season.
I'll say the one exception, I'm trying to think of any movie.
Oh, there's my favorite strength coach.
There he is. Tony Bagel! Sorry, all right, folks, we have the movie on in the background here with the captions on. And the scene where Kevin Costner says, "Hey, my favorite strength coach," the guy's name is Tony Bagel, and we didn't notice that the first time around. So, please forgive us.
Let's put him in the name for Carolina's open job, strength coach.
Yeah, nice. Morning, boss man.
Tony Bagel, how's my favorite strength coach?
I know they just made their hire, maybe an assistant.
Would you take
NFL experience
on paper? Would you take the Cleveland Browns strength coach though?
If his name's Tony Bagel, then yes. But that's the only exception.
The one reason I want I go strictly by names for my coaching hires. And Tony Bagel, that's
top
right
of the list. Top of the list.
Right
if he was on staff this year, he absolutely would have been interim head coach.
Absolutely.
Interim head coach Tony Bagel.
That's what I want to see. That's what I'm trying to see.
All right, we've already gotten off the rails.
Already gotten off the rails again. So, folks, we were trying to record this once before. We got off the rails. But it's easy to do because every single thing about this movie, on some level, one way or another, is
it's off the rails.
It's ridiculous. It's off the rails.
Okay, but you got moderately into it.
We got moderately.
GM.
Yeah. GM. So Kevin Costner, GM of the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, just like in real life, hapless and bad.
Yeah. Even the movie would have been way too unrealistic if they were good.
Yeah. One might say that.
Well, they said they'd been up to the playoffs the year before. That's terrible.
They could be there from the year before because they had Brian Drew and he got injured midway through the season.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
They said yeah.
So 2 years ago
they had a line to say that he got them to the playoffs the year before or something like that. I don't know. Sorry, I keep.
With his dad.
Yeah.
Though, as the head coach.
Yep.
That's the other part, folks, is that Kevin Costner, who's the general manager of the Browns, took over as general manager while his father, a legendary head coach, was sort of in the twilight of his career, and Costner ended up firing his own father. And about a month later, his father died. We're not making that up. We're not making that up now.
Oh man, we know this because they repeat it in dialogue
countless times.
It's mine this year. I'm with Mel. As we all know, Sonny's dad, former Browns coach Sonny Weaver Jr., he's a legend in Cleveland. He died last week.
Then you follow that up the next season by firing his own father. Coach Weaver, rest his soul.
Not the team you're putting together in your head on the fly because your old man died last week.
Like, Kevin Costner's dad had just died the week before, basically. Yeah. And so, everybody's still talking about his dad being dead and whatnot, and being mad at Costner for firing his dad. And, Kevin Costner, though...
So there's a family element to the storyline that is throughout the whole...
Yeah, throughout the whole movie, in terms of the father, but also, his mom shows up, and his ex-wife is there, and...
Rosanna Arquette for no reason.
For no reason! Rosanna Arquette has one line in this movie. That's it. That's it. And she's just sitting down, too. She doesn't have to stand in this movie. No. Not one time does she have to stand. I'm 100% positive Kevin Costner and her were just out for a friend's lunch, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go back to the movie."
It's the most random. It's the most random casting in this.
Definitely.
But basically, it's like, so he's the GM, and it's draft day. So I guess their idea to make it more suspenseful is to have the whole movie take place in one day. So it's like the Browns and this GM. And the Seattle Seahawks, every team in the league did not. It was the test they forgot about.
The Seahawks,
on Monday.
The Jaguars, the Browns, they all forgot. The Bills, nobody did any research on the players in this draft.
And it's actually draft o'clock. The draft is happening, and they're like, we don't know what to do.
And also, keep in mind that this is just day one, so it is just the first round. And people are still panicking over their first-round selections.
What's wrong with Callahan? Why is everyone passing on him? Why did you pass on him?
Just not a clue what to do.
Basically, Kevin Costner, he happens to get his general manager team gets swindled in a trade. Ends up trading his...
In the first 5 minutes.
Ends up trading his next 3 first-round picks. So this year's, next year's, and the year after that. All 3 of those first-round picks for the Seattle Seahawks, who are, I guess, a bad team in this scenario, for their number 1 overall pick this year, and nothing else. Mm-hmm. And Costner now, basically, it's a terrible decision, and everybody in the movie makes fun of him for it. That's one thing I give the movie credit for.
And he makes the mistake without consulting one human being in the entire organization.
He makes all of his decisions basically almost entirely without consulting anybody, except for towards the very end, when the draft actually starts. He asks Jennifer Garner one question.
One question.
One question.
What else do we need?
Special teams. Putney. Get Putney.
Yes. David Putney. Putney. Yeah. Putney.
By the way, he's banging Jennifer Garner in this movie. Kevin Costner, who is at least, I would say, 20 years older than Jennifer Garner.
Definitely looks 20 years. When they do reverse shots of those two, his face looks like the Road Warriors.
He could be her father. I'll say that.
It's the weakest element of this film by far.
Definitely. And
it's constant throughout the whole movie.
It's constant. Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner's their scenes of their them being together, having these half conversations about football, then also about their relationship and what are we? And
she's a Cleveland.
What are we doing? She's a Cleveland girl, as she said,
and she knows football jargon.
I'm a Cleveland girl, and I am football.
She knows what she's talking about. She is. She is called multiple times in this movie the salary cap girl.
I like her, little Miss Salary Cap.
And
she does not. She doesn't correct anybody, by the way.
Yeah, because it's an accurate descriptor, and they never gave you a non-derogative. Like, they never gave you her title.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't. I don't know what her.
I think she might be the only person who didn't. The salary cap girl was her title.
Intern got a title. I mean, it was just intern, but still.
Why is that intern's first day, draft day?
That's Kevin Costner's intern in this movie, who's like his main secretary, answering all of the phones. It's his first day on draft day.
What's he doing here?
This is Rick. He's a new intern.
Yeah, met before, actually.
He'll be helping you today because Rona got mono. I need Keith and Jeremy for salary cap troubleshooting. So,
why would you make that? How? First of all, how? Because look, college. I guess college is going on. So an intern, but still, he would have had to start back in January if he did for the semester.
I just don't. They just really shoehorned that one in.
They really shoehorned that one in there. There's no reason for his character to be there except for some sort of comic relief.
Much like the teams in this film, it's like the people making the movie took no time to fact check anything, like to just check in on what the NFL actually does, how operations are done. I don't work for an NFL team, but I can almost 100% guarantee that it's not like this.
They took the most basic outlines of it. Okay, what happens in the NFL? Trades. Okay, what happens with trades? All right, I guess we got to think about money and picks. Okay, well, then we need a salary cap girl. Salary cap girl.
I got Jennifer Garner on line 1.
All right, well, she's a really busy person. We got to have her in all these scenes with Kevin Costner. Who's going to be doing her job? Let's get the intern to do it. Well, we need to hire it. That's how it's happening.
These are
just getting patched together.
Oh, now we're watching the quarterback get mad. It's so many problems with it.
So the quarterback's getting mad because the first overall pick this year is for a white Wisconsin quarterback, 6'4", Bo Callahan.
Heisman Trophy winning
Bo Callahan. Now, Costner, he's got this first overall pick. Callahan, as we've been told by the movie, is the sure thing. Every single expert's saying so.
We can't find anything wrong with them.
Nobody. It gets shown. Kevin Costner gets shown multiple times that they can't find anything.
3 hours before the draft, the skeezy private detective, he gets some dirt.
He gets some dirt that turns out to maybe not even be real dirt.
Ominous, mysterious, non-confirmed dirt.
That's right. And so Costner is basically sending his guys who are in a panic over not having any footage of the number 1 overall pick. Nobody has any analysis over the top-rated guy in the draft. Are you kidding me?
It's baffling.
It's baffling. And it's not real.
It's not in it. If this was, like I said, a missed opportunity for the NFL to actually educate the fringe fans.
Mm-hmm.
If the Social Network taught me anything, it's that you can make a movie about just people talking, and it can hold your attention and be captivating.
Yeah.
And not a ton is actually happening. There's no chases or suspense or anything. It's just real stuff happens.
Yeah.
Well thought out things happen. They don't happen here.
It's like they went in with no intention of actually having any kind of real dramatic gravity to anything.
You said it perfectly when the film was ending in their day one draft party.
Yeah.
That this is Cleveland Browns fan fiction.
Absolutely.
And that's
absolutely.
Let's talk about the trade.
Yeah.
So Kevin Costner tosses 3 first-rounders to move from 7 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
When the original offer was 2 first-rounders, which was a great deal.
2 first-rounders and a third-rounder the third year.
Well, Jesus, Tom, at least act like you called me, all right? What do you want for it?
I want your first pick this year, your first rounder next year, and your third rounder the year after that.
Ouch. Ouch. No thanks.
I know what it sounds
like you're trying to take advantage of me.
I would never do that.
And he's like, I don't know, but then he makes it 3, and he just takes it without consulting anybody.
Costner takes the 3 first. He's acceptable to him. It wasn't acceptable in the instant to give
the one that was actually way too much of an undersell.
Yeah, for a once in a generation quarterback.
For real,
by the way. BT Dubs.
That would make sense if this was a draft where the number 1 overall pick was just no one stood out.
Yeah.
Then you're like, hey, let's just go ahead and get probably a high first rounder next year.
If anything,
move back 6 spots. Who cares?
The movie didn't crap on Bo Callahan enough.
No.
Why not just go, if you're going to have him be this first
have him like overall, a Jameis Winston, like a guy who won all these games, but then he's got a real sketchy off the field. Mm-hmm. They kind of did that with the kind of funny Florida State running back.
Yeah.
But they dropped that immediately.
Pretty much. It is like a phone call happened right in the beginning. All right, we're getting off track again. We got to stay on this.
Yes.
All right, so the trade that would have, first overall pick, assumed to be Bo Callahan, but Kevin Costner, the dirt that he got dug up, turns out Bo Callahan, he might not have any friends. Or maybe he does.
So this is what GM of the Year, and he will, I'm sure, in an alternate ending, wins GM of the Year because they win the Super Bowl the next year.
Deleted scene. One GM of the Year.
He drafts number 1 overall, a kid and a linebacker from Ohio State that he arguably could have gotten at 15 or later.
Yeah.
And then trades, 3 second-round picks for this year, next year, and the year after to get the Jacksonville Jaguars number 6 pick.
Number 6.
Talk about fleecing 3 second-rounders for the 6 overall. I don't know.
That's getting fleeced. You got fleeced.
But they get the number 6 pick, and then what do? they trade right back to Seattle for their original 3 picks and a punt returner. Not a return specialist, a punt returner.
It's genius.
Yes.
Genius work. But so basically, he gets all of his picks back. He gets a bonus player. He's getting to draft more players than he originally did. Kevin Costner, look, through basically him doing it on the fly, winging it.
Without consulting
anybody, basically fell into having a pretty good draft.
Well, one thing though, he's still short 3 second rounders.
He's still short those 3 second rounders.
Basically, just to have 2 picks in the top 6.
God, of a draft where that doesn't really seem to be that big deal of a draft.
Yeah,
it's pretty much Bo Callahan and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, because the second pick they take is the Florida State running back whose dad, Terry Crews, who was great. Terry Crews was great.
Yeah.
That kid's a legacy prospect.
So Terry Crews in the past had played as Brown, I guess, and his son, who is the player from Florida State that got in some trouble for fighting some guys. Apparently because his dad was a Brown, now he wants to be a Brown too? Wants to be drafted?
That's his dream team. Can you believe that there are 2 kids in the top 10 whose dream is to play for the Cleveland Browns?
That is truly the least realistic part about this entire film.
That or Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner.
That's very, very
toss up.
Yeah.
That's toss up.
Speaking of Jennifer Garner, though, the chemistry between them is basically none. There is no chemistry.
But they can talk football anytime.
They can always talk football.
We talk football? Just football for 30 seconds?
We can always talk football.
She's dying to talk about football.
It's just the football jargon they gave Jennifer Garner to talk about wasn't good.
Dumb. Every single one of her lines has been said in another movie at some point. Ugh. Except for I'm a Cleveland girl.
Hopefully not those terrible football stories too.
Yeah, and those. So she has, of course, she's a Cleveland girl. She likes talking about football. Gotta talk about Joe Montana.
49ers Bengals. Niners down by 3:20 left in the game. 93-yard winning drive. Taylor beats the weak safety for a 10-yard TD.
Gotta talk about John Elway.
That's another thing. So he's obsessed with finding a flaw in Bo Callahan.
Obsessed.
But then
Kevin Costner really... Let's nail this home. Kevin Costner is obsessed with trying to find any kind of flaw in Bo Callahan whatsoever.
And then, making his quest pointless, he points out that Joe Montana was too small.
Mm-hmm.
So. Peyton Manning didn't have... Yeah, Elway threw too hard, and Peyton Manning didn't have the arm strength. So, are you saying that... what is he saying? He wants to have a flaw so he can feel good about passing on him, but wouldn't if you have a flaw...
It's like he forgot that he's trying... what point he was trying to make.
He really did.
He forgot that he's supposed to be trying to find the flaws in Callahan so that he doesn't have to draft him or whatever. And just, totally, it's like Jennifer Garner was supposed to have those lines.
Yeah.
So that she could say to him, hey, just draft Callahan because look at all these other great guys who were supposedly had all these flaws.
You know what we also missed? We were so dumbfounded that Sam Elliott has a cameo as the Wisconsin coach that we missed that his name is Dick Moore. So our 2 names that we've said specifically so far are Tony Bagel and Dick Moore. Come on.
Yeah, all right. Dick Moore.
Hey, Coach. Sonny Weaver.
Oh, you're about to be a very happy man. Bo Callahan's some of my finest work.
Sam Elliott is great in this movie, though.
Sam Elliott's great.
He has literally 1 minute.
He takes real offense.
He is in one scene, has 1 minute of screen time.
Puts Kevin Costner in his place and hangs up his flip phone, if I'm not mistaken.
Puts Kevin Costner in his place.
Maybe not.
Hard freaking core.
Yep.
So basically, like I said, the one flaw in Bo Callahan is that apparently he doesn't have any friends because from the Skeezy Detective, at Bo Callahan's birthday party, where there was, I guess, some sort of scuffle, right? Not between
drinks.
There's a bunch of fans that basically tried to get Bo's autograph, I guess, and things got out of hand, but there wasn't any kind of crime or anything like that committed by Bo. He didn't steal any of the money that was supposedly stolen from the...
Yeah.
The detective really goes on some stories
the
here.
details in this...
I'm getting caught up in the details because the movie throws so many details at you for no reason.
For no reason.
It's trying to make you get caught up in nothing. It's just trying to bombard you with things.
Ask me who wasn't there.
Who wasn't there, Ralph?
any of his teammates. None of his teammates came to the poor guy's birthday party, Sonny.
Oh my God! So, just back to the absurdity of the timeline. There's no scouting. There was no. I guess there was no combine.
No combine.
There was no scouting whatsoever. All of these guys just woke up and it's 12 hours before the draft.
Nobody has any footage or anything.
And I mean, they won the draft.
General manager Sonny Weaver Jr. took one pick in the first round, the number 7 pick. He sprinkled it with fairy dust, wished upon a star, and somehow he turned it into not 1, not 2, but 3 potentially impactful players for his team next year. One pick.
He took a chance. He went with his gut. Took his guys. Make no mistake about it. The Cleveland Browns are his team now for sure.
This is the draft day Browns fans were waiting for. Sonny Weaver Jr. pulled it off.
When you were like, they had to show all of that alternating B-roll of all the draft experts saying that he's the best GM in the world.
Pretty much.
They had to get that.
They had to show all of that stuff. But it's like he's not a good GM though.
He's not. He's a terrible
So he's
GM.
like he has so the thing about getting Callahan, the other issue is that apparently he has a quarterback who is good but is frequently injured. Oh, but this past off season, he's added 15 yards to his throw. He's in the best shape of his life. So of course Costner says, you know what? Sounds good. I'll keep him.
That's also
Costner, who has no idea about any of this, by the way. He has no idea how much his starting quarterback has been training in the offseason.
The Bills saw the footage, or the Kansas City Chiefs saw the footage, and he hasn't even seen the footage.
Yeah, he hasn't seen the footage. He has no idea that Brian Drew is working like this.
And not only that, this guy that he's supposed to be sticking with, at the mere sound of there being a trade, he trashes the GM's office and throws a hissy fit.
Yeah.
Is that really the guy you want leading your team? Someone who at the first sign of adversity pees his pants and gets mad?
Yeah, like a little baby. Like a little tiny
baby.
Did you trash my office?
Trade me.
Did you just trash my office?
Yeah, I'm upset.
Well, I don't care if you're upset. If you're upset, call your agent.
Little tiny baby is always injured and is going to get injured again. Because he deserves it.
I mean, and pulling all this for 2 top 7 picks. What if that linebacker blows his knee out?
Yeah, how about that?
Well, that's a total Cleveland Browns thing to happen.
Totally Cleveland Brown things to happen. Or how about that the running back ends up getting into trouble again? Yeah. This is how Kevin Costner thinks it's still okay to draft this running back. He's like, well, did you? On the phone call with the running back, because the running back owned up to his mistakes. Said, Coach, I'm sorry. I got into this fight with these guys. And Costner, he asks him straight up, have you found your head, son?
I just lost my head.
Did you find it?
Yes, sir.
Well, good. Now hold on to it. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
Because obviously the kid lost it, right?
Yeah.
Kid says he has. Good enough. Gonna draft him.
But after I picked this mid-first round linebacker, number 1 overall.
They established before the beginning of the draft that without the Browns, Vontae Mack, who is this linebacker that's so good, who had sacked Bo Callahan 4 times in one game.
4 times, and he was only sacked 12 times all season.
Whoa, that's not yeah. But basically, they established that if this linebacker Vontae Mack doesn't get drafted, by the Browns, he could fall out of the first round. 15 is his best bet to get drafted at number 15.
And the plot device we haven't even spoken of. In one of the opening shots of the film, he writes down on a little yellow post-it, Vontae Mack, no matter what. Mere hours before he trades 3 first-round picks.
Exactly.
To take someone else.
He has no idea that he could even get the first-round pick. And all this stuff has happened now. All of these trades, all of these conversations, everything has happened, and yet he is still 100% comfortable looking at a note that should be no longer relevant in any way as his decision making. He's like, what? I said it one time, no matter Vontae Mack, no matter what, I'm going to stick it. I'm going to stick to it because I said it one time.
He's just not a good general manager.
He's not. He's just not.
He's just not. And the whole point of the movie, seriously, I wonder how much of a hand Kevin Costner had in it, is just to say Kevin Costner's a good general manager. And he's not one.
Kevin Costner, he's for a guy who
he
likes
can bang Jennifer Garner. He can swing all of these deals. He can be best friends with Dennis Leary. Roger Goodell cameo, by the way.
Roger Goodell cameo.
52 minutes even.
Mr. Commissioner.
Hey, Anthony. How you doing?
What are you doing in my line?
You guys sure made tonight a lot more exciting.
Thanks for inviting me in.
Good. Enjoy it. Good luck.
Will do.
Shaking the owner's hand. The owner played by Frank Langella, who literally...
Can we talk football?
We can always just football?
Oh,
we can always talk just football.
Browns bobblehead.
Horrifying. Basically, the owner of the team is played by Frank Langella, and he has sunglasses on throughout the entire movie. He never takes his sunglasses off.
Not one
Indoors,
time.
outdoors.
Dark room.
You never see Frank Langella's eyes.
Nope.
Not one time do you see in this
I wonder if that was in his contract.
I think it was just a thing.
Or is it like is that like a callback to a specific owner in the past? Was that like their little cute thing?
Well, I mean, we do see. I mean, I figure if it's taking place, over the course of a 12-hour day, Frank Langella probably, he doesn't change suits or anything. He's wearing the same suit in the conversation earlier in the day than he was at the draft. He's probably just like, I'm just going to leave him on. I don't need nobody to see.
Or I guess maybe his servant that takes the glasses off wasn't around.
Yeah, this guy, Hollywood types. I don't know what they got. They have all kinds of servants, right?
Another thing, we'll go back to Costner. We mentioned he has 0 friends. There isn't one person in this movie that is introduced or has the role of a friend.
No, we see some family members, but
once again his ex-wife,
and once again his ex-wife, who all this is a part that we almost forgot about was his father's ashes. His mom has brought his father's ashes on draft day to his office, saying
on draft hour,
an hour and a half before the draft. His mother stops by with his father's ashes and says, we gotta go dump the ashes on the 50-yard line. You gotta say this Celtic prayer. That's what you gotta do on draft day. The busiest day for a general manager possibly like all year.
Like, Mom, just chill. We'll do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But did you see how begrudgingly sad the whole staff looked going out there? Like, not sad because of his loss. Like, they were like, do we have to do this? Like, they're walking out there like kindergartners in a line, just moping.
But they go out there and so they do this at the practice field, right? But then after his mom leaves to go out to the practice field to dump these ashes with all the staff and whatnot, Costner ends up going out there first with Jennifer Garner, but not to do the ceremony, just to have a conversation outside.
He literally beat them.
He beat them there.
Out there and didn't take part.
And then when the ceremony starts, which we don't see, he doesn't take part. He's just
the whole point
out there though.
The whole point was that he was too busy.
Yeah.
And now
apparently not. Apparently not too busy.
He's not a good general manager.
Not a good general manager. Not a good son.
He breaks the intern's computer.
It was a nice computer too. It was a Lenovo. That was a nice laptop. Broke the intern's poor laptop.
I kept waiting for that intern.
I'm sorry.
I kept waiting for the intern to snap and put everyone in their place.
I was waiting for any kind of payoff, really, with any conversation he had with anybody.
Yeah. He was a pointless character.
Basically, he says to the coach's face...
So much of his coaching staff is pointless.
He says right to Dennis Leary's face, basically, that, I have no problem firing you. I don't like you. I don't want you as head coach of the team. Then after he makes all these great trades, he's like,
they're best friends.
We're gonna need a head coach, and why don't you stick him around?
That might be his best friend. That might be his one friend.
Yeah.
Is Dennis Leary.
Now, draft day 2, that's what's going to be. He's going to be best friends with Dennis Leary now.
Draft day 2, best friends?
Draft day 2, best friends. Starting you and me. How about that?
I'd be down for that. It would draft a kickball team.
Well, I just don't, how does he not have, a confidant? How does he not have the assistant general... Who's the assistant general manager? Doesn't have anybody to talk to.
This coaching staff only has 4 guys, right? You have Paul Scheer with a hairpiece, old balding guy who yelled at the intern for no reason.
No reason at all.
Who's a terrible family life at home.
Get your head out of your ass!
What's going on?
Who the hell is this moron?
This is our new intern, Rick. What do you want?
I need every tape of Callahan like yesterday. And suddenly every tape of everyone is AWOL, and shit show Johnny over here doesn't have a goddamn clue where they are.
Game tape is in the archives. Chill out.
Chill out? They changed the punch code.
Okay, I will get it, okay? I will get the Callahan tapes, for Christ's sakes. Just deal with the call and handle lunch orders. Okay. Don't ever speak to an intern like that again. Go back in the war room. Your tapes will be here shortly.
You've got the only black coach in the whole room. I don't know what his name is.
We don't get introduced to him. You don't get introduced to him.
They really don't. Of all the names and titles that get thrown around, he's just there.
And there's just some guys just hanging out, I guess, in the background.
But that's the whole staff. Like, is that just supposed to be the offensive staff?
Yeah.
I
really don't know.
But they talk about they're talking. God, is that?
Are they just coaching staff? Is it scouts? Who are any of these people?
I think they're trying to give you the illusion that like Dennis Leary's the coach, and then everyone else is just scouts. Because football only has one coach, just like hockey, just like basketball.
The guy coached the Cowboys.
You just coach.
He coached the Cowboys. The big knock on Dennis Leary, I don't think I mentioned this yet, is basically he coached the Cowboys earlier, but had led them to a Super Bowl in his first year, but it was because they were already a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Then
He John Gruden them.
And then basically it was a down.
It's almost a direct burn on John Gruden.
Which is odd because John Gruden gets a lot of screen time in this movie.
As a draft end, does he normally do the draft?
I don't think so, does he?
Because him and Kuiper on the same, with Chris Berman on the same panel, that just seemed weird.
That's a loud panel. That's a
lot of sounds going over each other.
A lot of sounds.
Actually, Chris Berman's just thankful so he doesn't have to talk. He's just eyes pinned to the back of his head, watching. First speaking line of this film, though.
He gets the first line.
He gets the Perd Happily Fast Five credit.
And of course, he gets to heap so much praise on Kevin Costner's GM at the end. The Cleveland Browns! They pulled off a big trade!
I'm definitely going to play all of the praise he gets from the media at the end of the movie.
It's worth it. As his players then exit the tunnel onto the field to heaven.
Don't you love how Vontae Mack, when he gets ejected from that game, it's because he gives a football to his sister who died from cancer and then touches the ref and gets kicked out of the game?
Literally touches the ref on the shoulder.
The nicest way anyone could ever get ejected from a game.
Yeah, but then the guys are like, "Oh, yep, he got that was fair.
Those shoulder pads are gigantic.
That proves that he's a bad kid. We shouldn't draft him."
Yep,
that makes sense. He
got
touched referee on the shoulder,
but not the guy not the criminally charged Florida State running back.
No, heavens no.
He's not a good GM.
He's not a good GM. He's not a good GM. He's not a good son. He's probably really not good. Not a good boyfriend to Jennifer Garner, who twist ending turns out she's already pregnant with his kid.
That's what that whole.
They're not living together, but he's already got her knocked up, real right.
It's an unfortunate situation.
It's an unfortunate situation. I feel bad for Jennifer Garner because she's now saddled with Kevin Costner, basically emotionless, gone. I mean, he's just terrible. I don't like him. He's a guy with no friends.
He doesn't.
You can't trust a guy with no friends, Jeff.
Okay. Final takeaway. You're gonna sum down draft day into one sentence. What do you have?
Should we talk? How we feel about it, or plot? What am I describing this movie?
You get one sentence about draft day, review or otherwise, for what it's about. Something that when you think of draft day, you're gonna think of one thing is gonna come to you first.
I mean, it just keeps coming back to Cleveland Browns fan fiction. That's all it is.
That's really all it is.
And because, of course, everything happy in the end happens for the Browns, which never ever happens. Never ever.
This isn't in the movie, but the only thing I think of is Kevin Costner standing on top of a mountain with this fictitious GM of the Year award. And he's just so proud of himself.
Just two-handed.
And he's up there.
He's got to hold two hands.
He's up there by himself. Because no one wanted to go up a mountain with him to celebrate.
Doesn't have any friends,
and he's so proud of himself, and he shouldn't be.
He really should not be. He's a bad GM, bad general manager. This movie, I'll say this:
fascinating.
The one redeeming quality about his character, is that he does get some scenes where he basically just says, "You know what? I'm doing things my way. If you don't like it, tough."
He does do that. Kevin Costner likes to do that.
He doesn't apologize for his decisions. He doesn't try to hide anything. He's up
he definitely tried to hide what he paid to get the number 1 overall pick to his staff.
He wished he didn't have to.
He comically, Looney Tunes styled, drew that out. Our first round pick?
I thought we had a QB. Tell me, what did we give up?
A number 1 pick this year.
And?
First round pick next year.
Okay, well that's a lot, but you get a chance to a player like Callahan.
And the year after that.
You gave up 3 consecutive first-rounders.
Sonny, that's our future.
Next year's?
Next year's pick.
That's not so bad. Yeah.
Do I get a cup of coffee?
Yeah, take the slurp. And the next year's first round pick.
And then when he drafts Vontae Mack at number 1, everybody's screaming at him, yelling in his face. Every single coach.
Dennis Leary quit.
All these guys who he could fire in an instant have no problem just yelling at him.
And his coach quit.
Basically.
His coach, much like the quarterback when he heard about they're getting the number 1 overall pick, which, by the way, they have to show him with his family watching the draft and celebrating.
Of course. Since I was supposed to have so much
attachment to him, we're supposed to care about him.
For this guy who the only 2 things we know about him, A, is that he messed up Kevin Costner's office, and B, that when he found out about the trade for Bo Callahan, not even that he had been traded or anything, no information about him, he started just packing up his bags and about to leave and yelled at Kevin Costner.
A child.
He's a child. He should
He's supposed to be the grown man that's leading your football team.
I would have. So if you were Kevin Costner in this movie, let's say you're the Browns.
Like this.
You have this first round. You have the 7th pick overall. You have a quarterback who's good when healthy, but is rarely healthy. You just hired a new hired a new head coach who's an offensive. Generally
Dennis Leary's not my coach.
No, Dennis Leary is your head coach. Okay. I'm saying his character in this movie, he's like offensive mind as opposed to a defensive one.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has.
Yeah, he does seem to talk about offense a lot.
And like brand new, he's former Super Bowl winning, but came in as a loser. Previous year had a good start, ended up losing.
Yeah,
your daddy's dead.
What were they 5-1 with them, and they only won 1 game without him?
Yeah,
they made that pretty extreme.
Yeah, they made that pretty extreme too. Yeah,
4-2 might have been more believable.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because there'd still be reason for doubt, too.
Yeah, but you had to have a record that gets bad enough to actually get the 7th overall pick.
6-10, yeah, I guess that sounds about right.
That was a pretty good season. If they got really 6-10, they got the 7th pick. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You could.
Cleveland Brown fans would probably be psyched for that.
You can live with that.
Yeah.
So if you're Kevin Costner in this movie, what do you do on draft day?
What do I draft?
Let's say you wake up in the same bed as Jennifer Garner.
If I'm waking up in the same bed as Jennifer Garner and she's already mad at me because I'm Kevin Costner and she made poor life poor life decisions, that's why she drives off in her car.
They both did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a two.
Poor life decisions should be the title of this movie.
Her poor life decision began with dating Kevin Costner.
I stay at 7. I draft Vontae Mack.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 3 second round picks still.
Yeah. There you go.
That's exactly what I do. That's what any good, stupid GM would do.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a position of need and it's like that good of a match, I just do that. And guess what? I would have had accurate scouting reports on all these guys too. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm comfortable with this decision. I've already done as much homework on this as I can.
So you go Mac over the Florida State running back?
Yes.
Same.
Because that kid, I'll tell you what, the actor they got for him, he's infectious. I liked him. If I know they were really trying.
He grew on me a lot.
They were really trying. Like you could tell at the end of the movie that that's the football player they were trying to make you root for.
Mm-hmm.
But just compared to the other two, he's if he fills a position of need and he's that good, and he's from Ohio and all that, you know how
it's all makes sense.
How the Ohio State people and the Cleveland Browns people they're the same. So. I mean, there's Rosanna Arquette's stupid scene.
She doesn't stand up. She literally sits throughout the entire movie, the entire scene.
I mean, he's the one you root for. Stud linebacker.
Sure.
He has that Kevin Costner's stupid line where it's like, he'd be the best.
I think it's tough. So I think you could do the trade for. Do the trade for.
Well, I would have taken the initial trade.
Exactly.
Do
the initial trade for to get the Bo Callahan pick.
Then you do a Drew Brees thing.
Well, then do what the Chiefs wanted. Then they wanted Brian. Drew.
Flip that for picks.
And flip it for picks.
That's good. You know what? You would have been the better GM.
I have played the GM mode on Madden a lot over the years.
I've taken a haul from that. Yeah, naturally. Well, yeah, I like that. Well, yeah, it's 2 first-round picks. For the number 1 overall pick.
It was I thought it was 2 first rounds and a 3rd round. In a future 3rd round.
It could have been, but I thought that was when they were talking about the RG3 trade, specifically without naming any players.
Other than Robert Griffin.
They didn't name him.
They didn't name him?
No, they just said when the Redskins traded for St. Louis's number 2.
What did the Rams get when they traded away number 2 overall to the Redskins a few years back?
3 number 1 picks and a number 2.
He's like, they got 3 firsts. They said you got 3 firsts and a second. And they, I don't know, whatever they were asking for was very reasonable and would have been a steal for the number 1 overall.
More reasonable than the real life trade that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
totally.
Washington got fleeced on that.
Absolutely.
Even if RG3 turned out to be not a turd, like, that you would have felt that, like, the Atlanta Falcons are feeling that with the Julio Jones trade.
And the Rams did. I mean, if the Rams in real life got a good quarterback, they'd really be a really good team, like Cardinals level, because they have that great defense. They have that great defense that they built from all those picks.
Yeah, they have a real D-line.
Also, Kevin Costner. Speaking of people acting like children, he broke the intern's laptop by throwing it into a wall.
Such a little kid reaction.
Reaction to his mom wanting to spread the ashes. So, like, this
if you just would have said yes,
it takes like
it would have already been over.
Take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And of course, we get the obligatory scene of the mom hours later still standing out in the field looking up at him in his office.
Also, did you think that was going to be Gary Cole? Because I did. I thought his dad was going to be played by Gary Cole.
The memorial makes him look like real life Kenny Rogers, how Kenny Rogers actually looks.
Oh, you want a round of burgers?
Yeah, I'm good on this, folks. Thank you for listening to this probably pretty rambling podcast.
There's no way to not ramble about this movie.
It's just because one thing leads to another.
The movie is a ramble.
It just keeps stacking up again and again.
How can you organize conversation about such a chaotic film?
You really can't. And because the movie itself is chaotic. There's characters coming in and out. Random conversations between him and Jennifer Garner are happening all the time.
It's so overwhelming. And it's just Browns logo on the bench. Orange steel. Like,
the NFL stuff, we didn't really let's talk about this before we close up. The NFL stuff in this, we've talked about like how the logos and whatnot, but just the presence throughout the actual draft itself too. I don't want to see Roger Goodell saying things. I don't want to see him doing things.
Like, there were no boos, which was the most unrealistic part.
When Roger Goodell first came out onto the stage, not a single boo was heard.
And then you heard like maybe 4 boos when he was over, and it's like, I'm sure they were like, there has to be substantially more cheers than boos.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he was like, that was him being diplomatic. Like, I know some people don't agree with me. There can be some boos. But
look, if the NFL gets involved in anything, it's just going to be crap. We have to accept that. They are a cookie cutter corporation right now.
And that's why I think Madden is suffering.
Yeah,
as game system capabilities are improving.
Mm-hmm. That's why EA Sports all of their games are really failing now.
They need competition.
Everything that gets touched by them, just gets ruined. Competition is always good. The NFL doesn't have competition.
2K needs to come back full force.
Absolutely. But get that football license. Get that NFL license.
Do it.
Do it proper. All right. We're watching. We made it to the point where in this rewatch where we're at the memorial scene.
So sad.
Also, Dennis Leary leading the way, even though he never knew the guy and also had referred to him derogatorily earlier in the film.
But he had respect for Kevin Costner for sticking up for his dad.
Sure.
I feel like Kevin Costner respected his dad.
Oh, Kevin Costner loved his father, probably. Respected the heck out of his father.
Definitely not Kevin Costner, though.
Definitely not.
Ugh. Yeah, let's get out of this. Yeah, it's making me sick.
This is good. We're at the scene where he's apologizing to the intern for breaking his laptop. I'm folks, again, thank you for listening. We'll be back again with a normal podcast pretty soon, but we had to get this out of our systems.
Had to
tell somebody about this, and now that you've heard about it, go and watch it. I still say watch it.
It's fascinating, but it's
a bad movie.
You can't. Watching it a second time is having adverse effects.
You're starting to notice. All right, there are already cracks in the facade, but this is bad, folks. Watch the movie, hate it with us, and we'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Life in the fast lane.